In closing, author Pam Kidd said it best when she said, "Even as I mourn what I'm losing, help me to fly, trusting you, Father God, to take me to places that I haven't yet imagined." Gentlemen, as I assume my new responsibilities in Prince George County next Monday, I'm a better person for having been in Caroline County. And in the end, isn't that really what is the most important for all of us? God bless you and the great citizens of Caroline County. Thank you.
Mr. Ashcraft, the board, I'm sure in present and past feels exactly the same way about you, and we do appreciate your service. I personally, and you know levity is my tool, but I appreciate the chance to laugh and have a good time at others in my own expense. So we appreciate that, but now we're going to get back to the serious business of the county, and our public comment section, again, as I said before, was for those in particular, just because I know, but not limited to, I know there are some folks here that have said they wanted to talk about high-speed internet, and I know there are some folks back in the back that wanted to talk about the Voting Rights Act. So now is the time. We will allow citizens to come and speak to the board regarding any matter that's not a public hearing, which means not the budget or tax rate. You can speak now. Budget or tax rate will wait till later. And when you come before the board, please just give the board your name and your voting district. Don't give us your address, because this is being broadcast. So just name and your voting district.
My name is Jeff Black, and my district is the Madison District. Tonight I'm here speaking not only for the Lake Landowners Property Owner Association as Vice President. I believe I am representing all the people of Western Caroline County who lack high-speed internet service. A few of our residents are here tonight to speak about the issues we face without high-speed internet in the county. If they would please stand up at this time. Thank you. When I am done speaking, I would like to present to you our petition signed by the residents of Lake Landor, Lake Caroline, Caroline Pines, and Belmont. Over 950 signatures. We only took one per household. Right now in Richmond, Virginia, the classic movie, Back to the Future, starring Michael J. Fox, is playing at the Byrd Theater. Of course, many of you know this classic movie is about a kid that was thrown back in time and is seeking help from the mad professor to return to the future. In many ways, the residents of our subdivisions are stuck back in time, in the age of dial-up and slow internet service, while the other sections of the county and the country have access to the most modern internet speeds. In the year 2011, how can we expect to move forward in the digital age when many of our residents lack the necessary internet speeds to surf the web or even check their email? How will we attract major businesses around all parts of the county when many areas don't have access to the service? How can we expect our school children to thrive without being able to construct a PowerPoint presentation for homework? How can we attract telecommuters and people who need consistent, reliable internet speeds when we have outdated internet capabilities? In the December issue of the Caroline Progress, a county official stated that due to economic reality, the county population would need to double before we had high-speed internet service. Yet I would like to ask the question, how will the county population double without a modern infrastructure? We are not here this evening to put blame on any company or county official, nor are we seeking a list of why the service is not available in many of the most populated sections of Caroline County. We are not seeking any empty promises or a list of dates you guys met with Comcast. We are here, however, to make it known that we must have a solution to our internet problem. Will you guys be the mad professor? Will you help us get back to the future? Here is the petitions, if I could give them to. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall will take those. Those are all from Mr. Black before you go away? Mr. Black? Yes. Before you go away? Those are all, and I want you to keep them, if you would. Those petitions are from?
Those petitions are Lake Caroline, Lake Landor, the Belmont subdivision, and Caroline Pine subdivision.
Okay. Thank you. That's what's going on.
Over 950.
950. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding public comments? Please state your name and your voting district.
I'm Mary Anderson. I'm in Madison District, and I'm treasurer of Lake Landor. I appreciate the opportunity to bring our problems to you. The lack of high-speed internet is seriously handicapping Lake Landor. School children need access because much school information and homework is on the internet. They are now having to go to the library to do that, if someone can take them there. As treasurer of Lake Landor, I'm concerned about homeowners being unable to sell their houses. Many have gone into foreclosure. As a result, dues are sometimes not paid, and as people move away, county tax base goes down. You're not collecting as many taxes. In today's world, most people require internet accessibility, and they will not buy a home without it. We pay county taxes, and we need county help. At the very least, Comcast should be told to either provide access or get out of Lake Landor so some other company could come in. Lake Landor has around 5,000 residents, many of whom are over 50, and we vote, and we seriously need your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Good evening. My name is Bob Gordon. I live in Lake Landor. I'm a resident under the jurisdiction of my great friend, Mr. Akers, Madison District. I'm a resident of the Lake Landor and past vice president of our homeowners association. I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for the opportunity to speak on the most important subject within Caroline County, which is the lack of high-speed internet being available not only for the Lake Landor, but for most of the area of Caroline County. I find it strange in the year of 2011, we could view and listen to the astronauts hundreds of thousands of miles above the Earth. Cell phones that just about does everything but cook our meals. Technology that we could hardly imagine being discovered almost on a daily basis. Yet our community, which lies some 30 miles south of Fredericksburg and 37 miles from Richmond and 3 miles west of Interstate 95, we have no access to high-speed internet. While just 2 miles east of Lake Landor, there's a community named Ladysmith Village with a new school, homes, and a library, and they are connected to the internet. Thanks to the efforts of Mr. Jeff Black, our vice president of our association, he and his committee has done and made great strides in attempting to have a major company, such as Verizon and Comcast, and or a smaller company provide our community with high speed. I'm sure there are other speakers who will tell you of the effect of not having high-speed internet on either selling their homes or for the potential home buyers, for that matter, the county's attempt to bring new business to Caroline County. Many residents of Lake Landor have recently contacted our elected officials in the state legislature in Richmond and members of Congress to use whatever influence they have to bring high speed to our area. Strangely, Verizon has told us that it would not be profitable for them to invest in high-speed internet, as the population does not warrant an investment of providing high-speed internet. I'm completely at a loss of that statement, as a number of homes on the heritage side of Lake Landor have been connected to high-speed internet and have been for a number of years. Ladysmith Village has approximately 50 to 70 homes, compared to Lake Landor, which has close to 1,400, and Lake Caroline has at least the same number of homes. How then does Verizon justify the statement that it would not be profitable for them to invest in providing high-speed service when they provided the service in a community with some 70 homes in Ladysmith Village? their argument that the population does not warrant the service investment, then we will not see growth in population, which will be a slow growth, in my estimation, due to the fact that high-speed internet is not available. Our community is not located in some distant area in North or South Dakota, where in most cases homes are many, many miles away from each other, but rather a bustling county of a highly traveled interstate highway and U.S. Route 1. Again, we residents in Lake Landor and Lake Caroline urge this board to use whatever power and influence to see that high-speed internet becomes a reality for all of Caroline County, whether it be Verizon, Comcast, or some smaller provider. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Stuart Davis, Madison. I'm going to be brief. How many of you have high-speed internet? Right, I assume you two do not. You two do not have high-speed internet? The people who do have high-speed internet, y'all should recognize the advantages of having high-speed internet over not having high-speed internet. And those who do not have high-speed internet should realize the disadvantages that y'all are put at. I heard Mr. Ashcroft in his speech up here, he was talking about the county website and how interactive it is. To people in Landor and other communities, we do not have this advantage. I can't give you any type of interactive feedback online unless I'm at work. A lot of people aren't allowed to use internet for personal use at work. What everybody is saying here today is pretty much a statement of the obvious, something that everybody here on the board should be aware of. There are advantages and disadvantages to Caroline County residents as far as not being able to get high-speed internet. And I think that the problem here is that there's a lack of participation from the board to us. I've been on the high-speed internet committee for over a year and a half for Lake Landor, and Mr. Akers, you're my representative. I've never met you once. I'm not demanding results, but I would like to see a little bit more participation from the board in helping us get high-speed internet. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
Excuse me. My name is Michelle Broyhill. I'm currently a student at Germanna. As a college student, the lack of broadband internet access in the Lake Landor community has impacted my ability to further my education because of the cost of transportation has to be accounted for as well. In one day, I travel 30 miles to Germanna, one way. Round trip is 60 miles, and 1 week is 300 miles. 1 month is 1,200 miles. For an entire semester, it's 5,400 miles just for one semester. Now calculate the cost of gas and the auto maintenance in general. Internet access to our community would alleviate the financial burden for students like myself, so we would be able to study online as well and be able to afford our books a little bit more affordably and alleviate the maintenance on our vehicles. Thank you. Madison District as well. Excuse me, sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Broyhill.
Mr. Chairman and the Board of Supervisor members, my name is Betty Ray Johnson. I live in the Reedy Church District. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am the event chair person for the Caroline County Relay for Life. The first relay that was held was in 1998. This year, the Relay for Life will be held on Saturday, May 14th, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Caroline County Agriculture Fairgrounds. We are very excited about the new location. This year, our theme is Relay Triple Crown. One day, one hope, one cure. Our goal this year is $80,000. Last year, we raised $73,780, which equaled to $2.69 per capita. We have 67 days left until relay. So far, we have 20 teams with 178 participants. We have raised $2,352.70. I come to you tonight asking you, the board members, to designate the week leading up to relay, which would be May 7th through the 14th, Paint the County Purple Week. We want everyone to know that Caroline County is working very hard to fight this awful disease called cancer. In previous years, the Board of Supervisors have proclaimed this week. If so, we would ask to be allowed to put up purple ribbons, which I have one right here, on the welcome signs throughout the county. We would be responsible for putting the purple bows up and also removing them. We are excited about having special events for our survivors and their caregivers throughout the day. There will be a wonderful dinner served, and the movie Secretariat will be shown. There will be children's activities, a dunking booth, and if any of the supervisors are willing, we would love to have you participate. I know in the past some of y'all have done that. There's going to be a silent auction and entertainment throughout the day. I've been told that Elvis also might appear. I ask for your support, and I thank you again for allowing me this time to speak to you.
Ms. Johnson, before you go, putting the purple ribbons on the county signs,
Yes, sir.
I'm sure is fine with the county. I think we'll have to ask Mr. Parton to check with VDOT to make sure it's fine with them. And I'm speaking for myself, and rarely do I do this, but I'm speaking for Mr. Akers as well, because we are both cancer survivors. So
I know.
We're willing to do whatever we can to help you, and if you would please check with Mr. Parton just to make sure you don't put something up that the state comes along and takes away, but I think we're okay. And
Okay.
if you'd like to put one up here
Okay.
for me, I'd be happy, or 5, we'd be happy to take those.
Okay.
Okay?
I will make sure that you get some.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Felicia Smithers and a resident of the Reedy Church District. I hadn't planned a speech or anything, but in listening to the meeting, I decided I wanted to come up and speak about the schools. I grew up in Caroline County, and I'm a graduate of Caroline High School. Went away for 20 years, came back, and when I came back, I was looking towards Hanover and Henrico because I have some elementary school children who I need to go home now and put to bed, and was looking for a good school system to put them in. I eventually settled in Caroline, and I'm happy so far with what's going on, but I realize the county has many competing priorities. Education has to be at the top of that list. Businesses and citizens looking to relocate or establish themselves, they're going to find themselves to the south of Caroline and Hanover or to the north of Caroline and Spotsylvania if our educational system isn't competitive with the region. It's been said that you have to spend money to make money, and I would suggest that the county look really, really hard at finding the money that's necessary to make this a competitive school system and find the funds to invest so that we won't be left behind on this I-95 corridor. We have to keep up with our neighbors to the north and the south. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Good evening, board members. David Porter, Mattapanai District, and I'm here also to speak about the broadband issue and another issue related to that. And just first, I'd just like to thank Jeff Seeley, who back in 2006, when I first brought up this issue, gave me an email, gave me his home address, and I was quite surprised. Never had a county member do that to me before, so thank you for taking the time and addressing some of my questions as a new resident to the county back in 2006. And just quickly, I think, we've gone over the issues of why we need it, and I think, what I would expect of the board is just, continual updates to show us, put it on the website, or as your technology committee has updates for us, even just once a month, even if it's, we met, these are the things we've discussed, we're gone nowhere, just something's better than nothing. We'd like to see those type of updates. And for me, the broadband issue is big. I've got 2 younger children in Madison Elementary and a daughter in the Chesapeake Governor's School. And my daughter in the Governor's School requires broadband for an online class that she takes, and as part of her classes there as a dual enrollment. And if we didn't have somebody in our neighborhood who provided a wireless option for us, which works when it's not raining or blowing wind or snowing, it works for the most part. I don't know what she would do, and I can only think about the other students in the county who are just kind of being left behind in that area, and it worries me. And that's the other part. As much as I love broadband and I really want that here, my main concern is for the kids in the school. I walk through the school, and especially Madison Elementary, and I see a lot of teachers who, a lot of them on their own dime are providing for these students and, really going the extra mile for them. And, I prepare some taxes for some of the teachers, and to see how much they spend out of their own pocket is kind of disheartening, and they get to deduct so little of that. And, you walk through the schools, and you see the parents' prides and their pride in the kids, and you see, how happy they are for them. And I would like just the institution itself to also reflect that pride in our students here in the county, and show we're going to give you a better environment that you can flourish on and represent the county. I'm a accounting manager for a larger government south of here, and I work closely with the schools there as well. And I know the first instinct, when things happen, is let's look at ways that they ask for this, we want to cut that. But put yourselves in the parents' mindset and walk through the schools, and especially when operations are going on, walk through the classrooms and see for your eyes. And I think, my attitude has adjusted with that type of viewpoint. And again, thank you for your time, and that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter.
Good evening, gentlemen. Mike Vita, I'm Madison District. Mr. Akers. I'd just like to add my voice to the internet request. I want to thank you guys for doing what you've done so far and trying to get high-speed internet in the county. And I want to emphasize that when we're talking about high-speed, we're not talking about wireless necessarily. I have a wireless connection through Sprint, and I have a wonderful little antenna in my upstairs window in my bedroom that I use to try to pull in as much bandwidth as I can. And it works on most days, and like Mr. Porter was saying, when it's not raining, or when the leaves aren't out, it works really well. So I'd like to emphasize that what we're looking for and what we'd like your help with is a wired broadband internet solution, something that can carry a lot more bandwidth than just wireless can. And you've already heard a lot of the reasons, and I can add my reasons to that too. I'm a student, my wife's a student, and we have a teenage daughter who obviously needs a lot of stuff to do on the internet, the research and everything. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Biden.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Bob Fumara from Madison District. Mr. Ashcroft, thank you very much. I too want high-speed internet here. I've been living in Caroline County now for 9 years, and it's been growing. And all I keep hearing from you people is we want to bring industry in, we want to get better school systems. Well, we must have internet to do it. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm Bonnie Kilgore-Lease from Madison District, and I just stood up to add my voice to all the others for the high-speed internet. I'm on the board of directors at Lake Landor, and I can't go outside my house and walk around that my neighbors don't say, when are we getting high-speed internet? And it is so important for our land values and just for the happiness of our kids. So please, get behind us and work hard to get high-speed internet. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Scott Baleko, and I live in the Madison District, and I'm one of the directors for Lake Landor on the board, and I'm also speaking as a citizen. First, the priority for high-speed internet in our community. I agree with what was said earlier. I can't understand how Ladysmith Village can have high-speed internet, and we're just several steps down the road, and we can't. I ask for your help. As was mentioned, students of the county need this. Teachers today, my wife and I are both educators, and teachers are always giving their students websites and places to visit and browse for review. And how can our students access that material if the broadband isn't there? Our school system has Parent Portal, where parents can go on and check and see how their students are doing, grades, up to date at that moment. If they don't have the access to do that, it makes it very difficult for them to keep abreast of what's going on with their child at the schools. On a second note, I would also like to talk about funding the schools and making sure that's a priority. Living in the community for 5 years, I'll be quite honest with you, I'm tired of being a runner-up to the surrounding communities. And we have a lot of great things going on in the schools, and we've made a lot of great strides lately, and we need funding to continue what we're doing. So I challenge you to work with the school board and to work together and put your great minds together to fund the schools appropriately. The other thing I want to address is the convenience site at Ladysmith. I spoke with Mr. Akers about this at one of his little round tables in the Lake Landor area. Every Sunday when I go over, I'm diligent about recycling. And when I looked at the Freelance Star talking about a runner-up, it says that Caroline County is one of the worst counties when it comes to recycling. Well, my wife is very diligent when it comes to recycling, and when I go over on Sunday afternoon to the convenience site, I can't barely get the cans, the plastics into that recycling bin. Is there a way we can get another recycling bin over there for the members of the Ladysmith side, because obviously that's being utilized every day? I would also like to ask you to restore the hours of the convenience sites as well. Hours have been cut back recently, and with the spring coming amongst us and people doing spring cleaning, it would be nice if those sites would be open back up on Wednesdays, and looking at the hours on Sunday that are a very short time to get to those sites would be a great help as well. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Polanco.
Good evening. My name is Reuben Rock, and I'm a member of the Mattaponi District. I would like to speak to you briefly. I feel like the Lone Ranger tonight, but I'll be that. Bailing out of the pre-clearance section of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. On behalf of those who gave their lives in the quest for voting rights, I ask this board not to opt out. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 must stay intact. Time constraints should not be used to erode the protection that is needed even today. We're not there yet. We are not at the point where we can sacrifice a federal protection only to allow a board or committee to promise that everything will be okay. What's going to happen if everything is not okay? When the promise is broken, where will we be? We do not want to move backwards. Today's technology affords us the ability to communicate and plan. The Justice Department's and its 60-day requirement is fair. I pray that this board will not opt out. I would like to see the federal protection stay until the playing field is level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. And if there's no one else, we did say we were going to take another break at 9 o'clock, but I want to address a couple of things. Many times the board has public comment section, and we kind of let folks say what's on their minds. Sometimes it's revealing, but in the case of the folks that came to talk to the county about internet access and high-speed internet, we don't have it in the county, but it's not for lack of trying. And as Mr. Black has said, he didn't want us to say all the times we've met with Comcast, because he's extremely aware of all the times we met with Comcast, and we have gotten exactly the answers you've gotten. It's not economically feasible for us to do that. It's not profitable for us to do that. But when the county started last year of making overtures of developing its own internet to some degree or some way or another, all of a sudden a small company called MetroCast, who serves Bowling Green, expanded out of King George County to Port Royal and then to Bowling Green, and further up into some of the parts of Woodford. So the digital advance did come that way. Mr. Wilson and I personally met with 2 different vendors trying to bring them in, and what they basically said was they were going to run a high-speed line, trunks from Spotsylvania running right down Route 1, which would have hit Campbell's Creek, Lake Landor, Lake Caroline, Carmel Church. That particular venture fell through. Mr. Akers is discussing things with Comcast, who serves the western part of the county, and before the meeting he says, we think we finally got them to do some movement. I believe Mr. Seeley and Mr. Wilson are going to meet next week with another company trying to do the same thing, to bring a, as Mr. Vita said, actually a wired line, same thing down Route 1 to hit most of the county. On Friday of this week, I'm going to meet with Dr. Killo and the schools, and he's got someone who's trying to do the same thing with the school system. So we may be guilty of not telling you all the things we're doing or all the things we're trying to do. We're definitely not guilty of lack of effort. And I have DSL. I raised my hand. That's theoretically high speed. But 4G, the next generation, is faster than DSL, and you could use your phone to do that. So the time when the county said, let's develop our own internet, we could make an investment, put that investment in the ground. Had we started 3 years ago, we'd be out of date now. So we tried to work through the existing vendors. Ladysmith Village came in, and this is not the board doing it. We offered to everybody, Comcast, the private vendors that came in, we offered them every effort the county could do. We offered to waive fees, we offered to give them whatever they needed to make it happen. It just didn't happen. Ladysmith Village, what we were told, is served by Comcast. Comcast said they were able to bring in high-speed internet or wired internet and digital TV because those were brand new lines. So what they told us, and I'm sure they told you, is all the lines you have now where you get cable TV, they have to replace those, and that's why they're saying it's not economically feasible. I agree, and I'm not sure who said it, but I agree if Comcast won't do it, We don't have a franchise agreement with them. We need to tell them it's time to go. It's basically put up or shut up. And you know, I feel your pain. When I first tried to connect to the internet, well, it wasn't actually an internet then, but when I first tried to connect to my remote computer, which was in Northern Virginia, I used a little Hayes modem, and I'm sure a lot of you guys don't know what those are unless you're as old as I am, or 20 or 30 years ago tried to do it, but that's what you had to do on the telephone line, and you have no idea what slow is. But so we understand what you're trying to do. We understand the economic benefits. We understand the value of your home. We're trying. I'm willing to do anything we can do, and I'll be the first to admit I don't know everything. So if you have an idea, please let us know. And did I miss anything? Because you're meeting, you got a wireless card, you got something. Did I miss anything?
Cooperate with us.
Excuse me?
Cooperate with us.
Cooperate with you?
Together.
That's perfect.
Together more, there's a better chance that we'll be successful.
And you're exactly right. So what we will do is we will try to make sure that whenever the county is doing something or attempting to do something like the things I just said, that we make sure citizens are definitely aware of that. I forgot who was the one that lived in Belmont. Mr. Porter. You have internet access via Virginia Broadband.
Well,
Yeah. Virginia Broadband sends a signal, and I think somebody else skips on that signal or something like that.
No, Kenneth Price has his own company, and he runs T1s to his house and has antennas on different,
Right.
And you can connect wirelessly. So it's different than Virginia Broadband, but kind of similar technology.
Ken is the one that we've talked to because Mr. Wilson and I met with Ken. So
He's going after stimulus funding now.
right, and he was one of the ones we tried to get in. So we are going to cooperate. And I think cooperation is part communication, and it's two-way. If you have an idea, let us know what the idea is, and as I said, we will do everything within the county's power legally to make it happen. Normally, we don't have a interface section, but Mr. Black, I understand. So.
I just got one quick question. In the last town meeting we had with Mr. Akers, he had talked about tax districts, setting up some sort of tax district where the residents of the particular communities that don't have it could pay it off. Is that still on the table with you guys? Is that still a possibility? Have you guys discussed that at all?
All right, now I know how serious this is, but I can't believe Mr. Akers said something about taxes.
What I said was, Mr. Black, you're absolutely correct, is the fact that we talked in terms of, excuse me if you would.
Special tax district.
We talked about
I understand.
special tax district, and I had the attorney to investigate to see if that was legally, if we could legally do that, and he said, yes, we can legally do that. And what I've said is, if the people and the residents of Lake Landor are saying that they want a special tax district in Lake Landor, then, yeah, I'll work with you on that. If that's what the people in Lake Landor want, then I'm willing to work with you to bring that about. But again, I think we all need to understand the ramifications there, because what that says is the people in Lake Landor, if that is the special district, if you will, the boundaries of Lake Landor, you're going to be responsible for paying off the debt for the initial investment, plus any repairs, any operating costs for that internet. My thoughts are we are much better off if we try to work through the existing companies. I'm meeting with, and I think Jeff is as well, next week, either next Wednesday or Thursday, with another company that is wanting to talk to us about coming in a broadband to come into the county. And yes, I have asked that a trip to Washington be scheduled sometime in the next couple of weeks, where we can again, and we have been there many times, at least several times, to talk to our congressional delegation about helping us with Comcast and Verizon. And we're going to go back and do it again. And as far as the committee, and Mr. Davis, you said cooperation, I agree 100%. Now, maybe it was just me, but I did not realize that there was a committee until probably a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, that was formed to look at this issue. Mr. Black gave me an invitation to attend a meeting at the Business Center and I took up that invitation. I took his invite, and I attended that meeting and discussed with Belmont and as well as Caroline Pines, Lake Caroline had representatives there, and also Lake Landor had representatives there. I'm in the lake communities twice a year to listen to what the people have to say. And you said you'd not met me before, and I suppose that evidently you didn't attend the meetings that I've been having over the last many, many years that I've been having them. But that's what the purpose of it is for, is to hear what the concerns are and what the people want in the various communities. So that's,
Okay.
That's where we're at.
The last one, Mr. Black, and I don't really mean to make light of it, but I understand having a special tax district really doesn't get you anything other than a pot of money that's probably not going to be enough to tap into somebody's T1 line or something like that and split around. So I mean, if that's what you want to do and you can split the service enough to make you satisfied, which is kind of doubtful, I mean, you have that option. And I think what we're doing now, probably in a little smaller form where exactly what you said, communicate and work with you, it's a two-way thing. I mean, I want you to understand I don't know how many times we beat the lady up from Comcast. I mean, it became a game. She would come and we'd say, when is it coming? And she'd say, I'm going to have it in a year, or next year we're going to upgrade. The year would go by. It's been at least 10 years. I mean, at least 10 years since the one person from Comcast would say they were going to upgrade, and they never did. So we are trying, and we're not going to give up trying. We're going to keep trying. As I said, I'm meeting with Dr. Killo, Mr. Akers, and Mr. Seeley are going to meet with Mr. Wilson. I'm not going because we can't have three at the same meeting, but we are still trying, and you're right. What we'll do is put it in on the county website and say, these are the things we're trying to do. Give us some ideas, and we'll do the best we can to make it happen. That's the best I can do, okay? We're going to try. We understand. All right, do you still want to take a break, or you want to go ahead with the public hearings? All right, so we'll take a, real-time 10-minute break? Real-time 10-minute break. We'll reconvene now with our next agenda item, which is the two public hearings. The first public hearing is on the county administrator's proposed fiscal year 2011-2012 budget. And again, this is the budget that was proposed by the county administrator. It has not been adopted by the Board of Supervisors yet. It has actually not been totally discussed by the Board of Supervisors yet. So we are listening to citizen comment before we start to deliberate, and we could factor that in. So we have 6 people that signed up, and I'm going to ask Park Dodd to come first, and then ask Pam Garrett if she would come down front to be next. You would come down front to be next, followed by Carol Olson. Mr. Dodd, how are you this evening?
Fine, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I appreciate, and I'm going to be short because I know you're running late, but in the registrar's budget this year, we had put in some money for the redistricting. We need one extra person in the office, part-time. There's been a lot of changes down at the state, as you know, or well know, from the budget restraints down there, and they've pushed a lot of that work down on the registrars in the local districts. So we've got a lot more work that we're currently doing. And we also, we do not know how many precincts that we're possibly going to have with the redistricting. So we've added some money into that. And yet they took 10% of the budget out. And that's what we put in to take care of this kind of entities. And it may not take as much, and it may take a few pennies more. But we are also, originally we're going to have to print the voter cards, but now the state has agreed if we get our data in and in place, all the new data from the redistricting on time, they will print the voter cards at no cost. So that will be a savings. If we don't get it in, then we're going to be responsible for printing those cards here, which is going to be a cost of that. And you know, your population has increased 29%. In 10 years, our voting population has increased 50%. And the work of putting an election on and the paperwork involved has more than doubled to what it was 12 or 14 years ago when I became chairman of the electoral board. So we really need to have this money restored to the budget so that we can keep the voters happy and do everything we need to do for this coming election. The other thing that probably a lot of people don't know, since we bought the new voting machines, your board and your registrar has done all of the programming. And if we had